welcome to Bellevue Bound, the show where we get to learn about the incredible people and places that make Bellevue, Washington so special. My name is Megan Adams, and I'm your host. And when I'm traveling to different destinations, I often bring my kids with me. And you know what that means. That means I'm always on the lookout for the perfect family-friendly activities. You know, those activities that are engaging and exciting, they can get their wiggles out. There's something for everyone, and they are memorable, right? I'm looking for that. Well, for our family, the place to go is a children's museum. I mean, it's a win for everyone, and you'll be pleased to know that right here in Bellevue, we have one of the best children's museums in the world. I am talking about the KidsQuest Children's Museum, and I am so excited because today we have the CEO of KidsQuest Children's Museum with us on Bellevue Bound, Putter Bert. Putter, welcome
Thank you.
Bellevue Bound. I'm so happy you can make it.
Oh, I'm so glad to have this conversation with you.
Absolutely. Hey, tell us a little bit about yourself. Have you always been into museums?
I have.
Oh.
Yes. Way back, I stuttered as a child, and I had speech therapy every Wednesday afternoon. And as a reward, my mom took me to the Boston Children's Museum every Wednesday afternoon. So it's where I grew up, and a place that I really learned to think and dream. And then I went to a pretty groovy college.
A very groovy college. Groovy, baby.
Where you had, they closed the school in the winter to save on energy, and you had to work in your field. And so I went back to the Boston Children's Museum and worked there during the winter. And lo and behold, it was my first job after college, and the rest is history. I went from the Boston Children's Museum to the Children's Museum of New Hampshire, to the Children's Museum of Arkansas, to the Children's Museum of Tacoma, to KidsQuest.
Wow.
So my entire professional career has been in children's museums, starting on the floor, which is what we call where the exhibits are and where the action happens, all the way up to CEO.
Wow. Well,
So it's my life.
congratulations. It is your life. What were some of your favorite exhibits as a child? What did you really enjoy?
Well, so at the Boston Children's Museum, they had what's called the Giant's Desktop.
Okay.
And so they had a giant telephone and a giant ruler and a giant coffee cup and did I say a giant telephone? That was like the coolest thing. And it was a rotary dial.
Yes.
And you could.
Some of you might not know what a rotary telephone is. They go like this in a little circle. A lot of fun. Takes more time, however.
So this was probably 6 feet tall. And so it took 2 people to get the dial to go around. It was really cool. It was really cool.
I love that. Would be memorable
That
for
was
me.
definitely one of my favorites. And then there's a machine called a zoetrope, which is a strip of paper that you draw on, and then you put it in this circular thing, and you spin it, and it makes it animate.
Wow.
So that was really fun.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think we tried to make some of those in science class. That's fantastic. Well, speaking of things to play with as a child, Putter, when I first met you, I noticed that you had toys on your desk.
We do.
Even in your boardroom.
We do.
Lots of toys to play with. So today I brought us some toys. Right behind you.
Yeah.
There's a toy. I have this.
This is a great one.
Yeah, I wanna take a moment and give a shout out to my next door neighbors, Kira and Max.
Yeah.
They loaned me these today. Thanks,
Nice.
Kira and Max. And but I love playing, of course.
Yeah.
I'm sure you do too. Why is play so important? This is hilarious. I love this llama. Do you know how those ones work?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I want a sound effect with that. Whoa, whoa,
Totally.
whoa. Yeah.
And a lot of these are fidgety things, which is funny. The reason we have them in our conference room is because not everyone can sit
Yeah.
for a long time. And some people think better when either doodling or doing something with their hands. It really
Yes.
helps them focus. Play is absolutely important. I think it's the best way to learn. I'm really sorry that adults don't play more often. But play is, I think children come out of the womb wanting to play and to explore and to learn. And with play comes mistakes and opportunities. I mean, it really is the basis of learning. Taking risk. Safe risk is a huge part of the museum, which maybe we'll talk about later. But, but I think play is essential to mental development, social development. It really, just think about what it is and what we did as children. You know, we talk a lot about STEM and STEAM, and for older kids.
Remind us of what is STEAM?
Sure.
Because I've said STEAM forever.
Yep.
Yeah.
So science, technology, engineering, art, and math is STEAM.
Love it.
And, think about block building or stacking, that, all those really rudimental things that kids get to do, dropping a block through a hole. That is STEM and STEAM in action, and so
real world applications. They can see it live and in action.
From 6 months old.
Yeah.
That's just how we're built to explore.
Yeah. It's interesting. I remember my grandma was just fascinated by watching us play because she knew it meant we were learning something. So shout out to Grandma Betty. She just knew that was a critical part. And so she let her house get real messy when we were playing because she knew we were learning.
So many things. I think Grandma Betty also learned because I run a lifelong learning organization, and I learn every single day, and I really encourage my team to learn, and I hope that everyone listening will think about learning something new every day.
Yes.
I just think that's a great way to be. The thing I don't like as a leader is when someone says, "Well, that's what Putter said we have to do," and maybe I said it 6 years ago and no one's asked me again. Well, I'm allowed to change my mind.
I love that.
Everyone's allowed to change their mind.
I love
and
that.
learn something new every day. And the messy part, I think it's what made the museum so popular from the beginning, is the mess happened at the museum.
Yeah.
When we first opened almost 20 years ago in Factoria, we had families come in who would say to us, so my kids have never painted before because I don't want that mess in the house. I'm like, oh my God, your kids have never painted before?
Wow.
Please, let the mess happen here.
Yeah.
And maybe take the mess home too.
Yes. And have a designated area. This is the place where we mess. If you want to keep it clean in your home, there's that one room where you can splatter on the walls. Here we go.
One of the things I really recommend is like a messy tray. And so
I love
we
that.
always
What
did,
is that?
So we always did Play-Doh on a tray. It
Sure.
kept the Play-Doh contained and not smushed into the carpet. Just mess is kind of great. Cooking is a great way to start with mess.
Yes.
And science.
Yes,
And
right?
edible art.
Yeah. Ooh.
All those things.
Ooh, I love edible art.
Yeah.
I have so many stories. We could go on for days. Putter, a number of years, I think it was in 2010, I used to bring my kids to KidsQuest, your Factoria location. And actually, I would nurse my daughter while my 4-year-old son would run around and go crazy. And it was so fantastic because it felt like it was safe, and yet he could run around, explore, come back all sweaty, and say, "Mom, I did this."
in.
Exactly, and that was the perfect.
The museum is designed for that. It's really designed for that self-exploration.
Yeah.
We really want to make sure that, I think one of the things is that parents think they have to do the museum, and they have to go to this exhibit, then this exhibit, and that's not actually how kids learn. They're going to zip around to see what they want to go back to, and then they're going to go spend some more time in one particular exhibit. Some people never leave on the go, which is where our semi-cab is, and the boxes exhibit.
Semi-cab.
So it's a full-size truck.
What?
That you can climb up, get in, drive, do carpool karaoke if you feel like it.
I love it. I always feel like it, by the way. Yeah.
And then there's boxes that you move around the room through conveyor belts, and you load up the truck. Some people never leave that exhibit. Some people never leave our water exhibit.
Yeah.
They stay there all along. And sometimes parents are like, oh, do we have to stay here?
Sure.
Which is why we have to design to parents as well. There has to be plenty of seating.
Yeah.
There has to be things to do. And it has taken a long time to help our staff understand that if mom or dad or grandma is on their phone, that's actually okay. That they feel comfortable enough and safe enough, to your point, that their kids are running around, that they're really doing something, that caregiver can take 10, 15, I don't care how long, 20 minutes to zone out. If they need to play Wordle, play Wordle.
Yeah.
It might be their only time to take that little mental break, and they feel safe to do that in the museum.
Sure.
Parents have to decide to come to the museum, drive to the museum, and pay to come to the museum. So that's a big investment, and we need to make sure that they feel welcome at the museum, comfortable, and that they want to come back. Now, there are a lot of parents, do not get me wrong, that want to build clay pots with their kids in the art studio or climb to the top of our climber. We love that, but it's not bad or wrong if a parent checks out.
I love it. You know, whenever I see a family visiting Bellevue, they're traveling from wherever, and they have kids with them. They've got this sort of, the blurry eye where like, whoo, I am so tired, because traveling with kids can be tiring. And I always recommend KidsQuest, of course. And one of the reasons is it's a place for adults where they can relax, where they can have a vacation while the kids run around. I want to circle back. You talked about, I think it's the atrium climber. Is that right? Okay. So my team, y'all, just went to KidsQuest. And when you walk in, you're greeted by this enormous climbing gym, the atrium climber. And of course, you know me, I climb to the top. I have to. It's so fun.
It's not easy.
No. And what was great, the kids, at first they look at me like, what are you doing, old lady? And then they were into it. They were, supportive. But at the top, I will say, Putter, I felt a little bit nervous. And Heather from your team, Heather goes, Megan, that's how you're supposed to feel. We are all about, I'm going to read this, safe risk. What is safe risk?
Oh, safe risk is such a fabulous thing. I first just want to congratulate you for getting to the top.
Thank you.
It's not easy. I've been up 3 times.
Yes.
It is a workout.
Yeah, sure.
And I'm just going to dial back to this also. We're going to get to that for sure.
Please.
Some kids will get there in 30 seconds. Yes. Some kids take a year to get to the top. I have a very good friend who said to me, Putter, my son made it all the way to the top.
Oh, it almost makes me cry. I just love that.
He said he was crying when he got there because I pushed him all the way, and I was like, "Oh, Mark, no,
rats,
no, you got to let them go at their own pace because they have to have that confidence to get up there." And kids develop differently, and they might get to this first tube and just want to hang there, or across the tube to what we call the chip patio, and they can just hang there, and that's okay because once you go up, you also have to come down.
Yes.
And that's another adventure.
Yes.
And no, you're not old. Just the other day at our recess, an 82-year-old, one of my board members, went to the top.
Oh, my gosh. How inspiring. May I be like that individual.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. And if you want to see pictures of this incredible climbing structure, click the link below, and there's pictures of all the incredible exhibits that we have at KidsQuest, which are incredible. But I will say the atrium, it's one in a million.
I want to circle back to safe risk because it is my mantra. We actually were just talking about it being the topic of BizQuest next year.
Oh, yes.
I am really inspired. My team is really inspired by an author and educator named Gaver Tully. He wrote the 50 Dangerous Things Every Child Should Do.
Yes.
And it's from putting a 9-volt battery on your tongue.
Yes. To see if it's live.
Yes, and so he came and did a whole adult programming for us and asked our board and guests how many people had ever done that before. Only one person raised. It just goes sizzle, sizzle, sizzle.
Yeah.
You're not going to blow up or anything. It's totally what we did as kids, like when we went into the closet and bit the spearmint lifesavers and they spark.
Yes.
There's all kinds of groovy things.
Yes.
And so we have been really inspired by Gaver. He comes to the museum. He runs a school called Brightworks in the San Francisco area, where they build roller coasters from the ground up that they ride. It's incredible.
Oh, I want to go there.
Full access to tools. So we have an area in MakerSpace where people have full access to tools. You can hammer at KidsQuest any day of the week. Is it risky? Sure. Well, I mean, what's going to happen? You're going to hit your thumb?
Sure.
Only happens once.
Yeah, right?
Right?
Right.
We teach kids how to whittle.
Wow.
We start with a bar of soap, and then we move to wood. When Gabriel was here, we did a whole bunch of safe risk activities, and we took all the shavings from the whittling and taught kids how to light a fire.
Wow.
How to light it correctly.
Right.
And some kids said they had never been that close to a fire where they could feel the heat. And that just is sort of, I mean, there's the kids that have never painted before and kids who have never felt heat. Yeah. We hung a swing from the climber, and so you had to climb up a ladder and hang the swing from the ladder, and then you could swing up high.
Wow.
Some kids had never stood on a swing before. These are all things I'm going to say I grew up doing.
Yeah, me too.
I mean, the amount of freedoms we had don't exist anymore. And so we really feel like safe risk is great for children and essential for adults.
Oh,
They've
yes.
got to back off a little bit. They also have to take a little risk because in that risk, you're going to learn more about yourself and more about your child.
Yeah.
And that is the whole point of the museum.
Absolutely.
That parent that is also sort of taking a break, they're definitely watching their child, and they're watching their child learn, just the way you were talking about your grandmother. And when you watch your child learn, you learn about yourself as well.
Yeah. True.
So the
It's a
museum is for
reflection.
everybody.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah, and I can really appreciate parents wanting to be cautious. It's hard to let that tether out a little bit, but I so appreciate that idea of just letting the tether out a little bit more, watching your kid grow, watching your kid make mistakes and learn from them. You mentioned a MakerSpace.
Yes.
You're speaking my language. I grew up in the theater.
I do know.
Village Theater.
I know your dad.
Yeah, shout out Rob. And one of the things I think I loved about it, though, is we created things from nothing. Sets, costumes. For me, choreography. I'm talking about dance again. Creating things from nothing. And it is true at KidsQuest, there's a lot of room where everything is designed. You walk in, you know exactly what it's supposed to be. There's other spaces, however, that are open to creativity, open to your imagination. Talk about that and the importance. Why is that important?
Sure, and I will add, there are very few directions on what to do or how to do at KidsQuest because, our audience doesn't know how to read.
Oh, sure. Sure.
If you think about the kids that are 7 and under, they're just learning how to read.
Right.
And so we want to make sure that everything's accessible that way. And also, English might not be your first language.
Yeah, you bet.
Yes, so we have the MakerSpace, we have the art studio, we have the cardboard fort building, we have all kinds of places where we give you the materials and say, go for it. We do team building with adults. Yes, we do it with corporations. You come in on a Monday, or we can work out anytime, and we put you through some of our challenges that we do with children.
Yes.
As adults, because I think we forget how to share. We forget how to team build. I think we all say we know how to do it, but when you put a bunch of people in a bunch of cubicles, that communication tool and that team building, sometimes I think the hierarchy gets in the way.
Yes.
I will say the Bellevue Schools finance department came over and spent the day with our educators. And having them go up to the climber, it was great.
Oh,
really great.
if I could have been a fly on the wall and watched that.
Google, Amazon, they've all been part of our adult team building training. So
and we will leave information on some of those team building activities and private events at KidsQuest.
For sure, all kinds.
Click the link below. We'll put it there. In Bellevue, I know we celebrate our diversity. That is what makes us strong. We are a minority majority, sometimes say, but an incredibly diverse community. And I do want to talk about neurodivergent diversity as well as physical diversities. When they come to KidsQuest, what options are there for them and families that have diverse situations?
Sure. I'm sure you're aware, but we have some of the highest population of neurodivergent people in our community. So right from the get-go, we have these orange bags at our front desk that have headphones and a map of the museum and fidget things and really highlight where the quieter places are. So if you just happen to come to the museum on any given day, there are those accommodations right at the front desk. We also have low sensory days on Thursdays and some Sundays where we turn down water, we turn down the lights. It is free to the public. And we do nights and we do some mornings because, sometimes I'm spent at the end of the day.
Absolutely.
And I'm better in the morning. And some people not so great in the morning and need an evening, right? So I'm the morning, you're the night.
I sure am.
Right? And so that's true with people on the spectrum. It's just true with everybody, right? And so really paying attention to those accommodations. If you, I just saw a whole email string about a child who will be attending camp with an aide. And the mom making sure it's okay if the aide comes. Will that be distracting? Absolutely. Bring it on. We want to know in advance how we can help you visit the museum or come to camp or come to a birthday party. We want to make it as best as we can for you. And it's hard when people don't tell us.
Yes. Yeah.
But that's just a part of reality.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so our staff is all trained in all kinds of things, trauma-informed education, neurodiverse techniques, just parent-child interaction. I think we talked about a little bit earlier, just when people are traveling and they just get a little... It's an intense time with their children. Well, so are the holidays, and when your kids are on vacation for up to 10 days, that's a lot of time with your children.
Yeah.
And so our staff is trained to know when to sort of come in, take the place of that caregiver, play with that child, give that parent a few minutes, maybe go get a cup of coffee downstairs with our partner at Belton Cafe, who is often in our lobby.
Yes.
And just give that person a little break. So I think there are differences and needs of all of our visitors. Physical differences, we have an elevator. You can roll into the top of the climber if you're in a wheelchair.
Wonderful.
If we have a whole group of people in wheelchairs, you can come on a Monday. Not because we want to single you out and give you time that's not with the public, but you need more space.
Yeah.
And we want to give you all the space that you need.
Yeah, and you deserve.
100%.
Yeah.
No one is ever turned away from the museum for physical disability, mental disability, cost.
Yeah.
No one is ever turned away because they can't afford the museum. That's really important to all of us.
That's so incredible. And it reminds us of why we need to donate to museums like yours.
Thank you very much.
Right?
Thank you very much. Admissions does not cover the cost of the museum. It's about half of what it costs to run the museum. So we do, we have to raise a little over $2 million every year.
Oh, yeah. That's a lot of hard work.
It's a lot of hard work.
Yeah, yeah.
But
well,
worthy,
if you want to donate, you can click the link below and we can help you contribute to KidsQuest.
Thank you.
I know that I'm a supporter and our community loves them, and you're a big part of why folks want to come to Bellevue. Shifting gears a little bit, let's talk about Bellevue. Why Bellevue? Why did you elect to have KidsQuest in Bellevue?
So we started with the east side.
Okay, yeah.
And I did go to some cities and say, are you interested in having us here? The east side was the fastest growing community of young families when we started this project in the late 90s. And so we knew we wanted to be on the east side. Seattle already had a tool museum.
Yeah,
and they're very good friends of ours.
Good.
But we knew that we wanted to be on the east side. And I walked into the chamber office in Bellevue, and Sarah Langton was the chair of the chamber then, and she said, "Go no further."
Oh, I love it.
Go no further.
Stop where you are. You
I don't
found
have a
your
place
home.
for you right now. But by the end of the day, she had called the owner and the manager of Factoria Mall, and I would say within 72 hours we had home.
Amazing.
It was amazing.
Yeah.
It was amazing.
Yeah.
And it is amazing. And we loved Factoria. We just outgrew it.
Sure. And now you have your newish location by the library.
Newish. We repurposed the Rosalie Weil Museum of Doll Art. Oh, wow. And so it was fun and funky already. We put a little addition on, and it has been a great home to us since 2017.
Oh, fantastic.
Yep.
I will say, Putter, I have heard rumblings that you might even be growing more in the future. Is that true? What can you share?
That is true. We are in the process of looking at a new home, 40,000 square feet, with 3 stories of affordable housing above us. I think it is critical in this time, in this community, if you're going to do that larger construction project, to build housing where our nurses, our teachers, our firemen, my staff can live. I think it's absolutely essential.
Yeah.
And that is going to cost a lot of money.
Yes.
You know, when I started thinking about it, it was around $60 million. I don't know what it's going to be now, but we already have support from the city of Bellevue.
Wonderful.
And we are moving forward, pursuing this project.
Oh, well, I'm so
It's
excited.
very exciting.
We can't wait for the future.
It's very
And
exciting.
and I know that you talked about the idea of every time you come to KidsQuest, you want a new experience. And that will certainly be a new one.
Absolutely.
It'll be close to Mercer Slough, is
That's
that
true.
right?
It will be on 118th.
Oh,
Yes.
fantastic. Just
Yes.
you can explore indoors and outdoors.
Correct.
Yeah.
And we have 1,000 square feet of outdoor space in our current space. There'll be 8,000 square feet
Wow.
in the new space. And there are Bellevue Parks trails that all connect to the Mercer Slough behind the property, which is really, really exciting.
Yeah, incredible.
Yeah, no, it's gonna be super.
And we're known as a city in the park.
Correct.
So this is just an extension of our incredible park system and one not to miss for sure. So stay tuned for that. More information below in the link. What are you excited for in the future of KidsQuest?
Everything. My team has more ideas than there are seconds in the year. And I just want to give them more space and more time to do all those things, to really activate the city, to welcome adults and children, families, everybody. We just want to make the world play.
I love it. And with that, we're going to wrap up. Thank you. Thank you,
No,
Putter, for joining
been
us on
great.
Bellevue Bound. And remember to play, get dirty. More information on KidsQuest Children's Museum on the link below. And we will catch you next time on Bellevue Bound.
This video was recorded and produced by Just Talk Studios, the premier video podcasting studio in Bellevue, Washington. Visit justtalkstudios.com to learn more and book your session today.